This is the Stormy Willow podcast, a lighthearted, balanced examination of the paranormal.
Hello, Stormy Willow listeners. I'm your host, Sarah.
And I'm your host, Adele.
Hi, Adele.
Hi everyone. Welcome to the show.
Yes, welcome to the show. How was your St. Patrick's Day?
I ate a green snowball. Because I don't drink. And it's just not a big thing in New Mexico.
Yeah, I had a great St. Patrick's Day.
Yeah, tell us all about your festivities since you actually had some.
Yeah, so Friday night, we went out with Mom and had a really good time. We went to this craft brew place in Rock Hill and had some drinks, and they were out of everything. They sold out of so much. And so I was forced to eat shepherd's pie. So basically I had just I don't eat meat. So I had to kind of scrape, just eat the potatoes and a little bit of the stuff I could. And so I ended up having to give my portions, which is too ingrained with beef. My body was just like, no, ma'am. And so I had to give it an extra helping to Mom and Steven. And I had a nice salty pretzel. I had German fare with spicy mustard and green beer.
Okay, sure. Why not?
Yeah, and then Saturday, the fun just continued. We had fun in our little Old Town Main Street. They did a food truck prop up from McHale's, which is an old, McHale's, an old Irish pub. It used to be our only pub. And so they always had they always had little Irish fare, leprechaun balls, which is basically just fried cheese of goodness. And so we did that, had some beer, and got to see some friends. And then today I had a lovely tea with Mom. So it's been a really awesome weekend for me. And I took a nice fall, so I'm sporting a nice road rash on my chin and on my shoulder from my run on Saturday, where I just ate the asphalt. So I tripped over that leprechaun, and there you go. So yeah, we've had a great weekend. It was a lot of fun.
All right.
Yeah. I don't mean to steal your thunder, but are you ready for the alien invasion this week?
I am.
I'm ready.
Ready.
For the 23rd?
I'm ready to go home.
Okay. Well, apparently, guys, if you haven't heard, March 23rd, this week, could be the day
the aliens are coming.
So, do your living in this next few days.
Yeah.
I mean, or with the way things are now, I feel like there's hope. Everything's going to be okay.
I mean, okay, if aliens did come here and start living amongst us, they're just going to be discriminated against too.
That's right. They're
just another minority.
And you know what's so sad is I'm going to have to redo my protest board over here. It's I've protested for women, cross out, LGBTQ, cross out, Black Lives Matter, cross out, drag queens, cross out, aliens will have to be my next. Yeah, so we'll see what happens on the 23rd. We'll see if we're still here broadcasting next week.
We might have a really interesting interview.
We would make friends. Finally.
I knew it. Valiant Thor, you brought your friends. Thank you.
Perfect. I mean, yeah.
I knew you were coming back.
Maybe that's why they're coming, because of us. They're there's this awesome podcast called Stormy Willow. We got to go meet them.
We have to meet them. Show them.
I think that's what's going on.
Show them the ways.
We just brought it with the leprechaun episode. They're that's it. We can't wait another week. We have to come. And when they heard that you were covering Extraterrestrials today, that was their sign. So
yeah, they were it's go time. It's bow time.
And we're going to take them to Bojangles.
We're going to take them to Bojangles and a hideaway. We're going to take them to Bojangles and a gay bar.
It's going to be just what is that
Paul.
show? Paul, yeah.
It's going to be Paul.
Let's go. I'm about to change your world. I'm getting you a bow biscuit. You're getting a bowberry biscuit and a seasoned fried, my friend.
I mean, I suppose that following weekend we could take them to some of these fun paranormal events.
Okay, let's hear it.
So we have only 2. It's still just getting into springtime. So Fan Expo Cleveland, I'll be in Ohio. I don't know if you guys delay me, maybe I can make it. And Huntington Convention Center of Cleveland is the Fan Expo. That is March 24th to 26th. And then we also, I think this is the first I've heard of the year from Horror Hound Weekend. I remember covering those a lot last year.
Hound, yes. Or
So it
they're
looks like
kicking off the season, it sounds like.
this is in Cincinnati.
What are they doing?
So they're going to be at Sharonville Convention Center the 24th through the 26th, Horror Hound Weekend.
That's so cool. Oh, that sounds so fun. I mean, Ohio's got it going on this weekend. So,
Yeah,
oh, heck yeah. So, do we want to talk about so if we get a future after the 23rd, I mean,
yeah.
it's so funny because guess what?
What do the stars and forecast have to say about our visitors?
And I just noticed this. I stopped my forecast on March 23rd.
So there's no future past
There
that.
could be no future past that. I mean, that came from Cafe Astrology, and let's face it, they're the gurus when it comes to forecast.
They know.
So, cafeastrology.com, this is what they have predicted for us. Starting with March the 21st, which is coming up this week, Jupiter is going to form a semi square with Saturn.
To make it more stupider.
So this is going to lead you to start thinking in big terms, big dreams, big picture.
Oh, okay.
So you may feel an urge to expand, but sadly you might face some obstacles that force you to really take a look and face reality kind of hard. So you might be having these big awesome dreams, and then reality is going to be like, boom, yeah.
Oh.
Okay. Yeah, we got a lot to talk about with this. So remember to breathe in new life into your old plans instead of just striking them out completely. So try to find that balance. Like, don't just shut them down and cross them off, but maybe take the little baby steps with
like
it.
Reinvent
The wheel, maybe. Yeah, because it could maybe make like hit you kind of hard.
Sounds like everybody's plans might be changing a little bit.
It sounds like literally, I have goosebumps whenever we were talking about, like, when Dad texted us and we were talking about the 23rd, because I did this forecast early this morning, and so now I'm like, oh, this is a little different as I'm going back and reading it.
Yeah.
Also on March 21st, we have a new moon in Aries. Happy birthday, Aries friend, Stephen, my husband. Happy birthday,
all you arrogant pricks.
Except for Stephen. You're so sweet.
For Stephen. Zach Bagans, happy birthday this month, bro.
Happy birthday, Zach Bagans. So this is going to symbolize a nice fresh start. It's going to be a time for you to be pure to yourself and in the world be a little more pure. So
everybody's gonna turn vegetarian.
Everybody's gonna turn vegetarian is what I'm seeing in the stars.
Yes.
So abandon, and I think this is so huge, I've had a lot of conversations this week with folks, including myself. You need to really, during this time, abandon what other people think you should do and focus on what you think you should do and learn to depend on yourself.
Oh, so we're all going into survival mode. That's great.
Yeah. It's everybody for themselves at this point.
Yeah, have your bug out plan ready.
I'm sorry you didn't plan ahead. Later.
Hey, there again, I'm out in the middle of the desert. I feel a little bit better than being stuck in Chicago.
I might be the only Southerner here without a firearm. So they're gonna be like, I told you, hippie. Oh my gosh. All right. March 23rd.
You know what we need to do, though, in case it's like ET, we should get a bunch of Reese's Pieces.
Stop. It's like, screw you guys. Like, they're getting like canned goods and bottled water. I'm like, Reese's Pieces. Yes, 100%. Yeah. So the day, March 23rd, Pluto enters Aquarius. And so you may start taking huge notice about social structure and politics, like, very seriously all of a sudden.
That's creepy. That's creepy.
Uh-huh. As we are all going to seek reform in these two areas.
Whoa.
During this cycle, we will likely take on equality, individuality, and group associations.
And we've had like all these weird satellite UFO
Right, like this is giving me
balloon.
goosebumps, like
This
for
is
real.
creepy, and it's
Yeah.
on the topic that I have today.
Wait till you hear the last line. We will be on a quest to distinguish ourselves for progressiveness and science and humanitarianism. It's a time to seek change.
Ooh, that's weird. This is
Isn't
weird,
that
guys.
isn't that crazy? Like when I was writing or like researching, well, basically when I was, basically plagiarizing cafeastrology.com, which I'm not plagiarizing, so I'm giving them
The credit.
credit. As I'm like basically writing down their wisdom to share with you all. I was like, that's kind of it. It's going to be an interesting week. And then all this stuff started happening about March 23rd. And now it just like takes on a whole different spin. And it makes me feel a little like, oh man,
What's going to
okay.
happen on the 23rd?
I know. I'm like, oh. So to lighten the mood, I'm super excited because tomorrow is the spring equinox on the 20th. So in case you're not familiar with how equinoxes work, this is going to be the time when the sun sits directly over the Earth's equator and it's going to start moving north. So both hemispheres will actually share the sun's rays equally on the equinox, and night and day are actually going to be about exactly the same length of time, which is kind of cool.
That's fun.
Um, and if you're looking for some fun spring rituals to do during the equinox, one thing you can do is to create an altar and you can just adorn it with things that you want to manifest in your life, but also bring in bright colors and plants and herbs that promote growth and place it in the sunshine to warm your mind and heart after the winter's darkness. So just a nice thing to do. You can also, I know Adele's definitely not going to do this one. You can wake up at sunrise, feel that nice.
I can stay up until sunrise.
There you go. And then last but not least, good old fashioned spring cleaning, dusting away the stagnation of winter. And one thing I know Adele will love to do is it's always a great time for a bonfire.
That
So
is
that's
true.
a new intention. So I mean that's something you can do on these last days. If you want. Just some ideas for you.
You know what? I might have a hot dog over
You're
that
like,
fire.
you know what? I am getting the bow box with the crispy chicken when I get
Give me
to
the
the
damn chicken.
like that's it. It's like I may have diarrhea, but it'll be worth it. Like, go ahead and give me a barbecue sandwich too while you're
Like, you know
actually
what?
Adele's gonna have the meat sweats, is what she's gonna be doing. And then
I'll
like
probably like die from that, and then like nothing with
nothing
like
will
aliens
happen.
would have even happened.
Nothing. And you're like, damn it.
It's because I sacrificed myself.
You went on this meat binge.
Took one for the planet. Died by
Better
consuming
not.
meat.
You better not do that to me. No.
Oh
Yeah,
God, I
I
can't
would
imagine
like
how
to
sick I would
request
be.
that we're the same ship or pod. I was like, who do I need to speak with about who I'm in a pod with?
So like, oh, it's the two people we let share a brain. They're still around.
Also, random events. Adele sends me this random text yesterday, and she's like, they put the zodiac in terms of like the
A
most
rank
intelligent.
order of intelligence.
Yeah, and we're the two
We're in the
dumbest.
bottom three. It's us and Pisces.
I'm like, here we go again, Denise or Denise, Dennis and
I'm Denise Reynolds.
Denise Arnold. Well, so funny. My friend Denise always gets called Dennis.
Doesn't she have an E at the end of her name?
Yeah, people just have a hard time with Dennis and Denise, and I never thought about that until she told me. And so now I'm like, damn it, I did it. I said Dennis instead of Denise. But yeah, we always, I guess we were just always destined to be D and Dennis Reynolds, and there's just another sign for us.
Yeah.
All right, Adele, do I need to take notes on this one?
No, I don't think so. Oh, and why? There's no future after the 23rd
That's
anyway.
true. Well, I just didn't know if it was like going to be some helpful information for me on the 23rd. I'm like, that's right. I remember.
I guess I could have more strategically chosen a specific topic because I don't know if this will be very helpful to what's coming. But I don't know. It all just is pretty odd. Um, I mean, I don't know about you, but when I think of aliens, especially being like a millennial, kind of growing up in the 90s with all the
Yeah,
alien rage, I always think of Area 51.
for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And in
And
particular, are
the
there
X
aliens?
Files.
Yeah, which all is kind of like government
Right.
related, kind of, oh, they have contact, but they're not letting us know about it. Um,
Right.
so I thought I would dig into maybe, where the heck does this concept of aliens being at Area 51 even come from?
Yeah. Because I feel like the two are always synonymous.
Right. And it actually, I think I kind of found the root, but I feel like there's probably more that I just couldn't figure out because it's just kind of lost in pop culture and it's out there now.
Right.
But I am going to do my best to kind of break down Area 51 as it relates to aliens because wow, this could go down several rabbit holes with just government programs, things they test there. I'm just trying to keep it in the realm of aliens because we try to keep the show to an hour.
That's right. That's right. I my mind is also going to Area 51, the video game.
Oh, that one was so fun.
That's coming to mind. Was that a Pizza Hut that we would play that all the time?
Aladdin's Castle,
Aladdin's Castle.
and I
Oh,
think AMC Theater maybe had that
yeah.
one or
That was a
Time
favorite.
Crisis.
That was a favorite of ours.
Area 51 was the
Yes,
so much fun. Arcade games, those were fun too.
for
Um,
real. The 90s, they were just a good time to be alive.
they were all good times while it lasted. Uh, so before we dive in, I do want to cite my sources. Of course, Wikipedia, Britannica.com, NPR.org.
Oh, I love NPR.
Yes. HowStuffWorks.com, TheStar.com, which I think is in Toronto, Canada.
Very cool.
CNN.com, TheGuardian.com, and I even have a link to an interview for one of the figures we're going to be chatting about because this is somebody that kind of blew the lid off of Area 51 in 1989.
Oh, oh, all right. Yeah, let's get into it.
All right,
I got
so
my limoncello LaCroix and I'm ready to learn.
so what is Area 51 really? Like, what do you think? What do you know about it?
So, all I really know about Area 51 is where it's the government supposedly houses all this like stuff that they've collected, like spaceships, aliens, and they do experiments, and it's like this highly secure, top secret place where all they have made contact with outer space and like it's top secret, and that's what I think of when I think of like that. I think of like Independence Day
Yeah.
or like things like where you got these aliens and like this little like juice and
Tubes.
they're like yeah like doing all these experiments. Like that's what I associate Area 51 with.
Okay. Yeah, I think that's kind of what's out there in most people's psyches today,
Yeah.
right? So what it is on paper is it's a U.S. Air Force facility. It's officially called Homey Airport.
Homie. Yeah.
Rolling with the homies.
Okay, I'm already very underwhelmed.
Rolling with the homies. It's gonna happen on the 23rd. It's also called Groom Lake. So that's like the lake area where it's near, and you're not even like allowed to be near the lake itself.
Oh, yeah, I've heard like you can't get anywhere near Area 51. I mean,
No,
again, that could just be what I've heard. I mean, they may do tours. I don't know.
no, they definitely do not do tours. Some of the other nicknames are Paradise Ranch, which to me sounds creepy as shit.
Yeah, I don't
Like
like that.
it sounds like if I were a cult leader, what I would name like where
Yeah,
we
that
are.
sounds very like let's all drink the Kool-Aid and then die.
Or if I do get like a ranch out here, I'm gonna call it Paradise.
Oh,
But
no.
yeah, well, and what's funny, according to CNN, is it was referred to Paradise Ranch in order to make the facility sound more attractive to those who'd be working there, like less creepy.
No, I would much rather be like, I work at Area 51, homie.
Yeah. Homie, don't play that. It's Area 51.
I wouldn't want to be like, I work at Paradise Ranch. Like that sounds no.
I just think it sounds creepy.
That sounds like a huge creepy church, like that Joel Osteen would preach at.
Yeah, or like, what's his
Those are
face?
some. I don't like it. Jim
Joel
Baker.
Osteen. I was thinking like Jonestown.
Yeah, like I don't like. If you're out there listening, the government, can we just no scratch that?
Just don't. It's Area
Don't do it.
51.
Just call it
Um,
Area 51.
it's also known as the Ranch, Watertown, and Dreamland. All creepy. All creepy.
Dreamland. That sounds like
Yes.
Neverland.
Yeah, which let's just not even.
No, I don't. Just let's just call it Area 51.
It's Area
Friends.
51. For this show, we're calling it Area 51.
Please, yes.
It's actually a unit of the Nellis Air Force Base. It is located roughly 100 miles northwest of Las Vegas, which I think they should just rename Las Bagans.
Well, they should. They really should. We're here for you, Zach.
We are.
That would be a great birthday gift for you.
Mm-hmm.
Las Vegas.
Las Bagans. In 1958, under Public Land Order 1662, the 38,400 acre land area was, quote unquote, withdrawn from public use by the U.S. Atomic Energy Commission, a predecessor to the U.S. Department of Energy.
Why do you think it's located there? Are we going to get into that?
Yeah.
Okay.
It is within the Nevada Test and Training Range. So this was like where in the 1950s they did all the aircraft and like weapons testing. So like a lot of bombs were tested there and things like that.
Good times.
And it is actually managed by the Edwards Air Force Base, who I think is located in California. So even though it's like a part of this bigger base, it's run and operated by Edwards Air Force Base.
Okay.
Obviously, it is highly classified. I don't think that is a surprise. And not surprising, frequent sightings of strange lights and UFO kind of things seen over this area.
Right. Yep. That checks.
So let's talk about a brief history of the base itself.
Okay.
So it was acquired in 1955 by the U.S. Air Force and the CIA. The U.S. Air Force claims it is an open training range today. So they claim that it's still just like a range where they're doing all sorts of different types of training.
Sure.
It was used for flight testing of the Lockheed U-2 aircraft.
Yeah.
So that's why it sounds to me, and what the government kind of alludes to, is the location, because it's really, really remote. There's a lot of space and not a lot of eyes on it, so they could really test out like a lot of these new aircrafts without people having visibility to it, or if they have like crashes or accidents with a lot of these tests and bombs as well, there's not a lot of collateral damage, if you will.
You got a lot of flat open land.
Yeah, so that's why they claim this is the location.
Gotcha.
So as I mentioned, for decades the U.S. government has just been doing random testing there and training. But what's also interesting is the U.S. government has not acknowledged the existence of the base until 2013.
Whoa, really?
Like they would not comment on it or even acknowledge that it existed.
It existed until 2013?
Yeah, and in 2013, the CIA finally made a public acknowledgement on your birthday, June 25th. Dad, it's the 27th, but anyway. June 25th, 2013, the CIA actually made a public acknowledgement finally, but this was related to the Freedom of Information Act. They were declassifying information about the U-2 and Oxcart programs. So these were different planes that they were testing at the time. So that's when they reference Area 51.
What's so weird is like we were right. My whole life I've known about Area 51 to an extent, and the government's just not like, yeah, it's real. In 2013.
Yeah, it really exists. Like, really?
Doesn't everybody in the world know that?
Yeah, Russian. Okay, we'll even get into that. Like, the cat's been out of the bag, not just to us, but also Russia for quite some time.
It's like, this isn't a new development.
But thanks for that.
It's one of those moments where I'm smarter than I think I am. I'm like, What? I always knew that.
So I kind of like what you were saying. It is like just armed to the teeth with surveillance, armed guards. It's not accessible to the public. It's a no-fly zone. I didn't know this, but even standard military aircraft are not allowed to fly over the zone
Okay,
without
I didn't know
specific
that.
permission.
Gotcha. Okay. Didn't realize that.
Employees are flown in and out of the facility in unmarked airplanes that go to and from a restricted terminal of McCarran International Airport.
What is that like for a Monday commute?
That just sounds like a pain in the ass, right?
That
How
sounds
much
awful.
earlier do they have to wake up? And you can't just leave the facility when you feel like it?
Well,
You
what
know,
do they do during COVID?
like, I don't know. I guess they just wore masks. I mean, they probably don't. I don't know. I don't know. I have
Oh,
no idea. I don't think you can take that kind of work
wow.
home.
This kind of reminds me of like Harry Potter, like whenever like they're dressed in their business suits and like they're in the bathroom and like pulling on like the going down the toilet to like the secret passage.
Yeah, it's
It
just
just
like,
seems very like what?
what are you
Okay.
doing?
Wow, that would really suck.
And last but not least, it is a topic of fascination to conspiracy theorists and paranormal enthusiasts who
Hey.
speculate that the government stores extraterrestrial bodies and technology at this location
Hey, so do you think on the 23rd they're coming back for
for their
51?
buddies.
Enough of this. We've had it.
They're coming back to kick some ass, take some
Yeah.
names. I don't know. I don't know.
Man,
Where was I?
sorry.
Okay. No. Okay. So that's, yeah, like Area 51 has tons and tons of speculation about it, and it's super secret and
Sure.
drives everybody crazy that they don't know what is really going on there.
Yeah.
There's all this speculation. There have been sightings of UFOs. So that all sounds alien-like, but where is this whole idea of alien beings actually being there? I think there are like three events that kind of sum up all of the conspiracy theories and suspicion of Area 51. And the first one is the Roswell crash in 1947. I think I talked about this in our Skinwalker Ranch episodes and maybe even Gray's. But long story short, July 7th, 1947, in Roswell, New Mexico, there was supposedly a flying saucer crash, and the remains of that flying saucer were secretly moved and housed in Area 51.
Yep, that tracks
Okay.
what I've heard.
And then, as I mentioned, kind of in the summary of the whole Area 51, like Air Force base that it's on, that was the Nevada Test and Training Range. So this is already super secret too, but it's still just all of the types of testing there with different types of bombs and technology and crafts has, led to a lot of suspicion
Right.
too. That
Sure.
is it our technology or extraterrestrial technology that they're actually testing. And
Mm.
then last but not least, the guy I was mentioning at the top of the show, who I do have an interview linked, I'll put it in the show notes. Robert Lazar blows the whistle in 1989.
Whistleblower.
Yeah. So now let's talk about Robert, aka Bob Lazar.
I had a feeling he was going to be a Bob. I just knew.
Yeah, Bob. He's a Bob. He goes by Bob. So Bob was born January 26, 1959. Does
Okay.
that make him an Aquarius?
Yes, he would be an Aquarius.
So kind of a summary, right? Yeah. With Bob is he claims that in the late 80s he was a physicist who was hired to reverse engineer extraterrestrial spacecrafts for the US military. And he worked for S4 of Area 51. So it's like this subdivision.
How does one get a job like that? Like,
Right?
I feel like it's not on LinkedIn.
Yeah, I think you get recruited.
Or ZipRecruiter. Like, how does one all of a sudden how would can you imagine the interview process? Like,
No.
whoa. Anyway, sorry. I'm just like, like here, looking for a receptionist, looking for an ice cream maker. Oh, a physicist for
Yeah. Like I think he said he was like a defense contractor,
yeah.
but to me it sounds like you probably get recruited by the government. Go
Yeah.
looking for them. I don't know.
Right. They come looking for you.
But I mean, I'm out here in New Mexico and we have Los Alamos National Lab, which like tons of people in Albuquerque and Santa Fe work there. I think you can just apply, but I have a feeling, I mean, they all have a certain level of security clearance, and
Right.
there are some places there that not everybody
Okay.
who even works there can access. So they're definitely working on creepy
You know
stuff
what?
too.
Yeah. Interesting. So weird.
Um, so today, Bob Lazar, he's kind of like a controversial figure in the UFO community. Some people really follow him and are like, "Wow, you're awesome. You were a whistleblower, and then like now you're under attack by the government
Oh,
naysayers." And
right.
then other people think he's just a crazy quack who just lied and fabricated this story just to be,
Mhm.
kind of a prankster. But let's talk about his interview in 1989. I think this is kind of, to me, sounds like the right time, but it's hard to tell because, you have a lot of stuff going on in pop culture too at the same time. So it's kind of hard to tell if it's the chicken or the egg. Like, did Bob start the ideas that there are aliens there, or were those ideas already out there and he's just confirming them? Like, I can't really tell who started what.
Right.
So we'll just see what he had to say in his interview. You're going to love this. So, and this too bothered me. You know how I am about dates. So it sounds like
I know it.
It sounds like his interview was a live interview sometime in May of 1989, but I've heard it was May 24th. I've also heard it was May 15th. And then I've also heard other interviews that were like in November of that year. But the consistency is it's all in 1989. I'm just going to go with May 15th-ish for this interview.
Gotcha.
So, oh, it's okay.
Herman's feeling it. He's like, oh, yeah. I was just Googling to see if he said anything, Bob, about March 23rd.
Oh, did he?
I haven't seen anything yet.
That's odd. Just put a feather in that, because I would think it'd be easy to find all sorts of information about him.
Yes. I mean, there's tons of information about him.
We can talk about that in a minute. Especially his Wikipedia page. And it might just be me, because once I got into this, I got more and more paranoid.
Oh, that's the thing that I love talking about this stuff, but it does like take you to a weird mental space.
Yeah, so I don't know. Actually, later on, I would like for you to do a blind, or as I'm talking, peruse his Wikipedia page and then let me know if you think it seems normal or not.
Okay.
So in 1989, in May, he appeared on the KLAS TV Las Vegas News, and he did an interview with George Knapp. So he kept his identity disclosed and was under the pseudonym Dennis.
There it is again.
And in this interview, he disclosed that he worked for S4, a sector of Area 51, and had worked on recovered extraterrestrial spacecraft. He claims that he read documentation related to anti-gravity reactors, and he saw 9 flying discs of ET origin in one of the hangars. He claimed that the crafts had gravity harnessing propulsion, and they used an element called element 115, which is unknown to Earth. It is, I quote, impossible to synthesize an element that heavy here on Earth. The substance has to come from a place where super heavy elements could have been produced naturally. Okay, I don't know. I'll take that for whatever.
Yeah.
And then at some point, his identity is revealed. I don't think it was. I think it got leaked. I don't know. That was still kind of unclear.
Dennis.
Yeah. So anyway, once the cat's kind of out of the bag and his identity is out there, he claimed that the U.S. government was now out to get him after blowing the whistle, essentially, and hinted that he'd even taken a piece of element 115 from the lab.
So which is interesting because on his Wikipedia page, it says that he was charged with pandering, which means that it's basically it basically means that you just say what people want you to say or believe. So you kind of wonder if, like, with the government and stuff, if they weren't, he wasn't doing what the government told him to do. So they charged him with pandering because he was trying to maybe feed into conspiracy theories,
Yeah.
which I think that's kind of interesting in and of itself.
Yeah. And one thing interesting about Bob as well is whenever I first was reading about him, I was like, all right, this guy could definitely be just a crazy liar, right?
Sure. Yeah.
But then I actually watched his interviews. I mean, now, mind you, take that with a grain of salt. Some people are incredibly good liars.
Oh, for sure.
But to me, he just didn't. I just couldn't see why he would do it.
Like, what was the point?
He seemed legit like he was giving instant responses and recalling information versus making it up. I don't know. And I think later on in that interview, he even did multiple polygraph tests. And like, I think they had like 2 or 3 people do the polygraph. And it was kind of like they didn't agree on if he was lying or not. And
Right.
they had a 4th guy who was like a retired detective who I really liked. And I can't remember his name. Sorry, guys. But I will share that interview on YouTube so you can see for yourself. And he came in and did a 4th or like final polygraph test. And he said, well, first of all, polygraph doesn't measure if you're telling the truth. It measures if you're afraid of being caught in a lie.
Yeah, that's why they're always so like inadmissible, like in court
Yeah.
stuff. Yeah.
So he said, after doing this for decades, like he's really good at kind of digging into the truth more. So he's like,
Sure.
I did sense that there were fearful responses in Bob, but not lies. I sensed that maybe he was afraid of telling the truth because Hello, he works for the government.
Right.
Secret. So he's like, I sensed that it was fear, not false.
I mean, and obviously, I mean, and not that I don't know enough about him to really say, but I mean, I'm kind of surprised the government, I would be fearful for my life. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah.
It's crazy. I mean, in his education, like he's pretty impressive. Like he's not a dumbass by any means.
Well, that's the thing too. So I'm glad you brought that up. So he claimed that not only was the US government out to get him, that they've erased records of his credentials. So
oh my God, I just read that they erased, yes.
And like his employment history.
And employment, yes.
Now I get it if you're one of the skeptics, you're like, yeah, because they never existed. This guy's full of crap, right? That's a convenient lie, essentially, that, oh, the government's out to get me and they've erased all of my records of where I attended college and where I worked. But I don't know, the government could do that.
Here's is something interesting. It says in 1990 he was arrested for aiding and abetting a prostitution. And it was reduced to felony pandering, which he pled guilty and was ordered to 150 hours of community service and to stay away from brothels and undergo psychotherapy.
Yeah. Oh, we'll definitely.
The government made that up.
We'll definitely get into more of that during our discussion.
Weird.
So also years after, like this media circus, essentially, of him being like the whistleblower and now the government messing with him.
Oh, yeah.
That's kind of cooled off. So then years later, he opened a business called the United Nuclear Scientific, and it's based in New Mexico. And I can share the website. Like, you can still go on the website right now. It's called unitednuclear.com. But it looks like just kind of random, I don't know, collectibles of weird.
Ooh.
Like
premium or for
chemicals
sale.
Or oddities.
There's collectibles from Area 51. What?
Yeah. So there's like uranium you can buy. There's like glow in the dark chemicals. And just all sorts of stuff that you can get that's very like Area 51 memorabilia kind of vibe,
Yeah.
It
might make a great stocking stuffer.
Yeah. But anyway, so he opened that company and they're just kind of like niche and unfortunately potentially dangerous materials, like, I don't know. uranium. I don't know if you're supposed to have like a lot of that.
Yeah, I don't know what the rules are with that.
But in 2003, the United Nuclear Scientific was raided by the FBI, local police. Um, so when that happened, Bob and his followers theorized that they were looking for element 115 that he alluded to taking.
Mm-hmm.
But the feds claimed that it had to do with the chemical sales records, like him shipping stuff across state lines and, his business, essentially. And then in 2006, Lazar and his wife, Joy White, were charged with violating the Federal Hazardous Substance Act for shipping restricted chemicals across state lines.
Okay.
And then in 2007, United Nuclear was fined $7,500 for violating a law prohibiting the sale of chemicals and components used to make illegal fireworks.
Uh-oh. I bet that's gotten shipped down to South Carolina a few times.
Yeah.
Wings or eagles at Myrtle Beach.
He also, right.
What?
It's just, I don't know. It seems like a lot for the FBI to go through for firework stuff.
Yeah.
So
real.
I don't know. To me, that sounds a little bit like harassment, but there again, I'm just trying to.
What it states.
You think what you want.
That's right. Oh my.
So he does have a book out. It's called Dreamland, and it's about his time working at Area 51. And I'm just going to quote thestar.com here. So, in the decades since, he became famous for his theories about the existence of extraterrestrial life and technology, including the existence of flying saucers and intelligent gray aliens. So, I feel like maybe that kind of ties in with him. I feel like the idea that there might be aliens was already like floating around out there ever since the Roswell crash.
Oh, yeah.
And then he just kind of validated a lot of it in his 1989 interview and beyond. So that's where I think the gray aliens or any type of aliens physically being at Area 51 really, like, while the idea was out there, he really kind of made it mass, like, appeal kind of by seemingly to whistleblow and validate that, yeah, something's going on there in secret that the public's not being told about. So yes. So I think definitely he's a huge part of this whole our aliens at Area 51.
Yeah.
And then just to kind of talk about what's been going on lately, CNN actually did a really good like kind of timeline of events that tie to Area 51. A lot of them are what I've already covered, like up to even like the whistleblowing in 1989 by Bob. And then like this is kind of, I just really liked how they summarized some of what's been going on over the last couple of years with Area 51. So I'm just going to really briefly go through CNN's timeline. So September 8th, 1984, the U.S. Air Force issues a report stating that the wreckage recovered in Roswell, New Mexico in July 1947, often referred to as the Roswell incident, consisted of a smashed part of balloons, sensors and radar reflectors from a classified government project called Project Mogul.
Wait a second. Did you just say balloons?
Balloons. Yeah, I did.
That's interesting.
That's kind of interesting, right? So 1994, you kind of get, at least something from the government recognizing the Roswell incident, but they're still saying like it was not extraterrestrial, it was us. And then January 30th, 1996, President Clinton signs a presidential determination exempting the, I quote, Air Force's operating location near Groom Lake. So he didn't say it by name, but this operation near Groom Lake, Nevada, from any federal, state, interstate, or local hazardous or solid waste laws that might require disclosure of classified information concerning the location to unauthorized persons. So he's saying that like a lot of the hazardous waste that they have, they don't have to abide by any of the laws at this location.
Scary.
And there is this just made me think, I can't remember the name of it, but I think there are some mountains in Nevada, fairly close to Las Vegas as well, where they do store like toxic waste essentially, because it's a secure place and they So like a lot of environmentalists have a big problem with a lot of what's going
Yeah.
on in Nevada. And
Sure.
then it's kind of quiet for, maybe little news. And then in 2005, we have Freedom of Information. So a Freedom of Information Act request is filed by Dr. Jerry Richardson, a senior fellow at the George Washington University National Security Archive. The Freedom of Information Act request is for information on the CIA's Lockheed U-2 plane reconnaissance program, which took place at Area 51. So then in April, why is this April 2000? Oh, sorry. Yeah, this should have come first. And that's just kind of an FYI. So in April 2000, before this happened, a Russian-built satellite flew over and took pictures of Area 51.
Oh, lovely.
Even though it's a no-fly zone. I mean, I guess a satellite, I don't know how that works with what they pick up. Anyway, they were able to snap some shots of Area 51. So, there again, the government in 2013 is like, okay, Area 51 does exist.
Right.
They don't even come out and say that. They just reference it by name in 2013. But Russia even knows about it in 2000. I'm sure they knew about it way before then. They probably knew about it in the
whole world
1950s.
has known about it for a hot minute.
Yeah. And then, so anyway, this Freedom of Information Act request is what prompted the CIA to finally acknowledge Area 51 in 2013.
That just makes me laugh.
And then just the last two. One is also pretty hilarious that I think you'll remember. Storm Area 51 in 2019. Do you remember this?
Why does that sound familiar? Tell me a little more.
So July 11th, 2019, more than 1.5 million people say they will attend a Facebook event titled Storm Area 51. They can't stop all of us. So they're pledging to raid Area 51 in the quest to see them aliens, quote. The post suggests that people just, storm the site on September 20th, 2019.
Kind of they did the White House, or rather.
No, yeah. Anyway, yeah. So they try to, they're trying to figure out what the hell's actually going on in Area 51.
Oh dear.
So let's just get into the Storm Area 51 thing really fast. And what is really funny about it is the second I started reading, I was like, this is like Fyre Fest, but for alien enthusiasts.
Oh, snap.
And then in one of my articles, it was like, yeah, it was pretty much like Fyre Fest 2.0.
Fyre Fest 2.0.
So, what I think sparked this was also Bob. Poor Bob. He didn't have anything to do with trying to organize this, but this was one of his first interviews in a while, back in, the public eye. So Bob Lazar went on the Joe Rogan podcast.
Oh, hell. Okay.
So that yeah. So that interview was released on June 20th, 2019. And then a kid named Matty Roberts, who was a college student at the time, he created a prank Facebook event, and it was called Storm Area 51. They can't stop all of us. And like I said, this was kind of like, hey, what we're going to do if millions of us show up, all of America, it will let's all show up at Area 51 on September 20th, 2019, and just storm it and see if there really are aliens there. So that was the whole idea. So this huge group of people who want to storm Area 51 were supposed to meet in a small town called Rachel, Nevada, which is the closest town to Area 51.
Okay, gotcha.
So they were supposed to meet there, and then at a designated time, all go and storm Area 51. I mean, more than 2 million people responded as a status, yeah, I'm going. And 1.5 million people said that they were interested in going on the event page. This kind of flagged the FBI, who shows up at Maddie's house.
Uh-oh.
So as Maddie's talking to the FBI, he's like, you know what, though? We have really great momentum behind this. How about instead of storming Area 51, we just make it kind of a Burning Man music festival and call it Alien Stock. Woodstock.
Stop it. How old was Maddie when this is happening?
Probably barely 21, if he's even 21.
He's probably scared shitless when the FBI. Boom, 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 boom.
Yeah, like, did you post this on Facebook?
No.
I'll take it. It wasn't me. It was Bob Lazar. He told me to do it. So anyway,
Gosh,
you
what?
know, it just becomes kind of a shit show because then like once the event's kind of being planned, he's shifting and being like, let's make it like a big music festival. But then some of the other people who really wanted to go and really wanted to storm Area 51 are like, no, our group is really going to still do the storming. But okay, now it turns out Rachel, Nevada, it has a population of 54 people. So they don't have the infrastructure to host a huge music festival for like 1 million people.
Oh.
So then they're like even trying to get sponsors. At one point, they're even talking to like Budweiser. They're just trying to like get music. Anyway, everybody ends up like backing out. Or like, this is not feasible. So
This is a nightmare.
it doesn't happen. Like at the end, they have maybe 150 to 200 people show up in like this small town, but like they don't raid Area 51.
Oh God. Okay. All right. I'm just
So
people that actually showed up. Like, we're ready.
here we go. Yeah, like it didn't happen. It was even the music festival, which I think sounds like it could have been like a fun impromptu festival. That no, everybody like pulled out. It couldn't work
because these people were wanting to raid Area 51. They weren't there for the music and the fun.
Yeah, I mean, even like a lot of influencers and stuff did show up, like in their little trailers, like we're going to see if there's aliens here. They're all
That would have been a great platform for us.
right. Oh,
We're so close.
yeah.
Oh, what a shit show. Oh no.
So womp womp. That
Patty, I hope you learned your lesson.
I mean, I don't know. Maybe people will start showing up on the 23rd. No.
We'll see.
So now here we are, current time. That's kind of it in summation. So I don't know what I think about what's really going on with Area 51. And it mainly because of what Bob has to say.
Okay, let's hear it.
Well, no, just like his supposed
more
experiences, and I don't know. Like I said, I
Like
guess
you don't think aliens are necessarily there. You think it's just testing, just like
yeah. Okay, I think yeah. Now we can get into like the point of discussion. That's all I have related to Area 51 and the aliens that are supposedly there.
yeah. Do you think there's like crafts and stuff there though? Like that was just kind of a storage house for that, or do you
See,
think?
I don't know because it sounds to me like you take the two extremes, right? You take Bob's story and the government story, and in the middle is the truth.
Fair enough.
So to me, yeah, there are absolutely crafts there that are top secret. Are they of alien origin? I don't know.
Not sure.
I'm perfectly fine to feel like the government is being as forthcoming as they can be with what's there by just saying it's top secret experimental technology.
That's true.
I mean, that's the truth. They just aren't giving us much detail beyond that, but probably because they don't want to leak to our enemies. Is what I initially think, but then I get hung up on what Robert is saying, though. I guess just to kind of backtrack it, did you have a chance to look at Robert's Wikipedia yet?
Yeah, I did.
Okay. To me, it just kind of blasted all of his negative stuff. It didn't seem very impartial to me.
Right. It was very like, okay, and this is just me, I might be wrong, but I like say you like Google a celebrity on it, right? I don't feel like it lists their criminal history.
Yeah. So to me,
like I thought that was awkward. Like, was it like says that he was a physicist and blah 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 blah, but then it was just like
drawing in like his morality, if you will.
Yeah, like,
it's like pulling in his character.
Yeah, it didn't really seem like it was. Usually, I feel like it's just the facts. Like, you're born here. This is your wife. These are your kids. This is where you live. This is what.
Yeah, it doesn't even say like that typical like he was born here. His parents were this. He grew up here. He went to he. It just felt like it was smearish. let's just kind of break down Bob's story and like things about him. So one, I think his Wikipedia page is a little
It is.
smear campaigning.
I was really shocked to see they have a whole section just based on his two crimes. Like, it's
And
weird.
yeah, so I kind of did like the gains and losses that I found. um, so yeah, there are legit reports in the news, like in print, since the 1950s of bizarre lights over that base. That I would agree with that that's true. There are UFO sightings over that base. They are working on something there that they don't want us to know about. And then in 2003, Element 115 was actually discovered. Remember how he said they were using Element 115?
Yep.
Well, okay, they discovered it in 2003, but um they can't figure out an actual use. And Element 115 has only like a half-life of 1 second, so it doesn't last very long. They're just kind of like, this isn't the same element that was described by him.
But is that something we even need to know? Like, why do we need to know that?
Right.
That doesn't really mean anything to me
But to
as a
his,
person. But like, if I were a scientist or a physicist, it may rock my world. But
I mean, but my thing, that's just semantics. He knew
yeah,
something existed called Element 115 at the time. Now it's maybe just renamed. You know what I
right.
mean? Like maybe Element 115 that they discovered in 2003 just assumed the name Element 115.
That's
But,
true.
you know, so that doesn't mean what he described isn't
It's a
doesn't
lie.
exist.
Yeah.
Um, and then like a lot of the stuff with his employment. So he claims that he did work at Los Alamos National Lab here in New Mexico for a time. And they denied his testimony of ever working there. They said that they couldn't find a record of him ever, like all of his education and employment claims like cannot be verified. If you call today, they're like, we have no record of that employee.
Interesting.
But this was interesting. So Los Alamos denied his testimony that he worked there, but his name was found listed in a 1982 phone book for the lab among the other scientists.
Mhm.
And a 1982 clipping from the Los Alamos newspaper described him as a physicist at Los Alamos Mason Physics Facility.
That's interesting.
So that is where I kind of can't let go of. I don't know. Maybe he did see something, or
Exactly. And the government
they didn't
in and
clear
said
everything.
he did not ever work here. He never went to school here.
Yeah.
He is in charge of this prostitution. And I'm sorry, if you really were in charge of a prostitution ring, wouldn't you do more than 150 hours of community service? I would hope.
Yeah, and
Like,
that
that also
too.
didn't add up to me. I was like, "It what?"
Yeah. So that see that to me is super suspicious too, because honestly, that doesn't matter on if he's telling the truth or not. You know what I mean? I feel like his Wikipedia and a lot of the articles pulling up that like, hey, he was arrested in 1990 for his involvement with operating a brothel, essentially.
Right.
Okay, that's still like a morality judgment that has nothing to do. You know what I mean? That doesn't mean he's
Right.
a liar and not a physicist. Like, and who
Right.
knows? Who knows why he would have done that? Like to me, that's irrelevant. That's like being
Right.
like, oh, Sarah has unpaid tax records, so anything she has to say about working at her time at Area 51 is complete lies.
Right.
Like
It
that,
just doesn't
no, that doesn't have anything to
connect.
do with each other.
I agree. I
So I
totally
don't know. Just the Wikipedia to me seemed kind of like smearing him a bit.
right.
It did not feel objective like most Wikipedias do.
Yeah, I agree. I think Wikipedias are just basic knowledge. But yeah, I did feel like it. Like, when I looked at Wikipedia, I was like, oh,
Yeah. So that's kind of where I went with this. I think what we're left with is one, do we believe Bob or not?
I don't have a reason to or not to believe Bob right now. I'm on the fence that I do believe Bob right now because I just think that the Wikipedia page, like you were saying, just doesn't make sense. And if the government really, really wanted to shut him up, they basically, like you said, like they've taken everything from him, like his degrees, his work history, everything. And it seems like they've done that, like made it where
Yeah.
he can't. But then I think about, are they trying to shut him up because he never really did these things anyway? And they're not wanting like mass hysteria and conspiracy theorists to go bananas. And
Or are they even
I
messing with
don't
him?
know.
You
Like,
know what
I
I
just
mean?
don't know.
Or was it like in 1989 they were like, you violated your non-disclosure agreement and you were
Right.
fired and in a lot of trouble.
So it's like, yeah, I do. I do want to believe Bob, and yeah, I mean, I do agree. I mean, I don't know if they actually have ETs there at 51, Area 51. It wouldn't surprise me if they did, but I think that there is definitely a lot of like UFO like remnants. I think they've been testing for ages. And I think that, we haven't. I mean, I don't think the government's ever really been honest to us about anything. I mean,
Yeah.
but I am not a government fan, so I'm probably not the one to
Yeah.
talk to you about it. I mean, and I do understand that there are things that we can't know and things that we can't be disclosed because of certain things, but I don't know. Like I've always believed in extraterrestrials, and I don't know what the damage would be just to be honest about it to the extent that you could be honest about. I think it would really cut down a lot of rumors about Area 51 if the government was just gave us a little more
Forthcoming.
information about, yeah, a
Yeah.
little more forthcoming about it. Like kind of like with the recent balloons. Like we don't know where it came from. We don't know. Why can't they just be a little more like that with Area 51? I think that would help take some of the hype down a little bit. But I don't know. Like I really don't know if this is a guy that just really did just like, hey, you couldn't do this. You did it. You're fired. And then he was trying to get back at them. Or is he just somebody that really never did these things anyway? And the
Yeah.
government's like, what you're doing is dangerous. You have to stop. Or is he completely honest and they are wiping all of this stuff? Like, I really don't know. I want to believe him, and I'm going to watch the Netflix documentary and see what I think. But
Yeah.
I just don't know. I mean, I do think, I mean, his Wikipedia page is weird. The fact that the whole working at the lab in New Mexico, and they said that he never did, but then there's clippings and stuff like that's weird. Those are some weird
Yeah.
things.
It's like the remnant stuff you can find, his polygraph test results.
Yeah,
And just honestly, no, I do like true crime shows. So we always watch like Signs of a Psychopath and See No Evil. So you get to see their actual interrogations of these people who've like done
right.
horrible things. And I mean, some of these people are just really good liars.
They
Like
are.
there are
Like they
so many
all
times where I'm like,
are.
if I were that interrogator, I would believe that she had nothing to do with
Yes,
this, and she freaking, and the lady like drowned her kids in a bathtub or something crazy.
exactly. So I mean, it's just really hard to say. But I 100% think some crazy shit's always gone on at Area 51. I think that we made contact with extraterrestrials, and that's nothing new. And I feel like they are, maybe some of the things they can't tell us because of warfare and different things like that. And I understand, but I mean, why can't we talk about these things? Like we make people, I feel like even people that have had UFO sightings, people try to like throw off on too. Like, oh, but you're crazy. Do you know what I mean? Like, I feel like they get
I think people will do that with themselves too. Like, no way I saw that. I had to be
right.
mistaken.
Exactly. So I feel like that's something that happens even when people have had sightings. And I tend, and I believe them. I really do. I have no reason not to believe them. I mean, I do. I don't think this is the only, we know this isn't the only galaxy in the universe, and
Yeah.
I think that it scares people. And so it's easier for them just to disprove it and not talk about it. And so I just think we should be more open and talk about it. Like, I don't see what the fear is in it. What are
Yeah.
your thoughts?
I have always thought that Area 51 does not have anything extraterrestrial going on there.
Mhm.
I've always thought it was a top secret base doing top secret experiments for our own technology. And I still
Gotcha.
lean towards that. I think the most, I don't know, I guess sinister thing I've ever thought Area 51 could be was a diversion.
That's interesting too. Like, what if it's just a front?
Like, what? Everybody look over here. I'm super secret alien lab while something else is going on somewhere else.
That is very smart. I never really thought about that. But
I mean,
yeah,
this cat's been out of the bag since the 1950s.
right.
It's
I
not
agree.
it's the most well-known top secret base in the world.
Yeah, and it's like no one is I don't know, like everybody knows. Like I just think it's so funny that they really thought they pulled one over on us until 2013 about Area 51.
Which I wonder if they were even kind of laughing, like, let's just give them like a cookie.
But I like your theory though about it just being a front, I mean, that would be the smart thing to do, honestly, because I mean, everybody knows about it. Say that you really are holding extraterrestrials there and craft. That would be the first place anybody would go to is Area 51,
It's
right?
almost like having a big fat vault in your house. Be like,
Where do you keep
where
the
could you be
money?
hiding all your valuables? Oh, the
Exactly.
vault.
Yeah, I agree. I completely
Like
agree.
now, do I think that if the government has somehow made contact, I do think they are keeping it a secret.
Oh, they definitely are. But
But
I think that they have made contact.
and if
And
they have,
I,
I personally don't think it's been like an ET that has necessarily like come to Earth. I think it maybe it's been interactions in space
maybe,
or over some sort of communication. I don't know if we've made physical contact,
right.
but I think they are hiding information related
We
to
might
that.
be making physical contact this week.
Right? Maybe it's time.
But I just wish they would be more honest about it, the government, that is. Because I think
Or
people,
yeah.
this is something that people have been fascinated with for a long, long, long time. Like, this isn't a new thing, and I feel like, why can't we just, I'm just all about openness, like, why can't
Yeah.
we just be open about it? Like, but it is a really cool thing. It's a cool advancement, But then I guess I look at our country, it's like we can't handle drag all of a sudden. How in the hell would we handle a whole nother species? Do you know? And that's really
Yeah.
unfortunate. It makes me really sad, honestly.
Um I mean, and I was just looking at the dates too. So I think it's interesting that Russia sent like a satellite in 2000 and got pictures of Area 51. The Cold War, I did you know that it went on between 1946 and 1991?
1991?
And please people, is that true? Like, was it kind of still going on? I Googled it and I was like 1991. I said the Cold War years pops up to December 26, 1991.
Stop
Um,
it.
so to me, the most obvious is this was, a base created for fear of Russia.
Yeah, I've got it started in March 12th, 1947 to December 26th, 1991. So
Yeah,
we were like born during the Cold War.
I
Like
had no
what?
idea. I had no idea. I feel
I
kind of like
thought
an idiot. I thought that ended like in the 50s or 60s.
I did too. I remember mom talking about the Cold War.
I didn't know we were born during the Cold War.
I didn't either. I
I thought
mean,
that was way over. Like, the Golden Girls talk about it. I'm like, it was over before that. No, it wasn't. Like, I
well,
thought it ended way
the,
before the 80s.
so basically we had the Gulf War. Okay, so the Gulf War was only from 1990 to 1991.
And
I
I
really think
think
that
we
that's
had the
wrong.
Korean conflict in the midst of the Cold War
Yeah, but
too.
Grandpa was in that.
Right. So we have like a lot of wars going on right when this base is acquired by the CIA and the Air Force. Like, to
Right.
me, that just makes too much sense that it's clearly like spy planes and things like that
Sure.
against our enemies.
That is true. That may be
But
more of what it is as well.
that's what I think Area 51 is.
But think about all of and I'm sorry, y'all, my screen looks terrible. I'm trying to figure out how to fix it and I can't. So anyway, but imagine how I feel like most sightings are out west, it seems. I'm not that there aren't sightings in other places in the world. I'm not saying that. But like if we're just looking at America, I think like you have a ton of sightings more out your way, it seems. Maybe just because of the way the land
It's just
is.
easier to see the sky.
To see.
Yeah.
And so maybe it really is like maybe Area 51 truly was set up for spy planes and that sort of thing and morphed into this as well. Like maybe there's like a separate wing that just handles this.
Yeah. I mean, it sounds like
I
kind of
don't
like Anthony
know.
said, like what was it, Section 4 or Sector 4?
Yeah. So
Um,
maybe initially that wasn't the thing, you
because it
know?
sounds like that's how it is at Los Alamos Lab too. That like maybe you're just the accountant. You're not gonna
Yeah,
have like top access even within
that's
the same
messed
building
up.
you work in.
And you could be working on different things and not have access to that department.
Oh
So
yeah,
who knows?
I mean companies do that as a whole.
Exactly. So why would they be any different?
So
So
yeah, that's not so suspicious.
I don't know what goes on in Area 51, but
But you think there are
it would
aliens
be
there, and I do not. That's what it sounds
but you know what would be interesting if it's really nothing. There's just it's like an abandoned mall.
like. I don't know. The whole that would be funny. Or it's like where employees go for vacation, and it's
Yeah,
like all a
it's like
big
a
joke.
Disneyland thing, like where the yeah, it's just like it's a big hoax. It's not even anything. Because like you
Yeah,
said, like maybe they want us to focus on Area 51 so we don't focus on other places.
maybe
So that
that's
would
why it
be
has all these fun names, like
they're like
the
it is
Paradise Ranch.
like maybe it's like I don't know, like a resort in there.
Yeah, maybe that's what it is.
So I don't know. You
Well,
get to
guys, I don't know. Let us know
alien.
what you think. What do you think is really going on at Area 51?
Yeah.
I think it is what the government says, and at the most, deceptive, it's a diversion, but I don't even think they had to plan that. We've already made that for ourselves, being
And
so
I think it's
fascinated
an
by it.
abandoned 80s mall.
Okay. So Sarah thinks it's an abandoned mini mall
And
with
there could have been aliens there at one point, but I think maybe since they've been moved to another location. That's my final say.
it's probably just like a huge storage of toxic waste.
It probably is. And there's like the old Sabaro's pizza, an old department store.
uh,
That's what I think.
like an old 80s like Burger King with like the
Yeah.
little Burger King kids.
Orange Julius. Like
Yeah.
that's what I'm seeing in
It
my
still
mind.
smells like Auntie Anne's donuts. I mean, pretzels in there.
That's what I think. There's some like abandoned kiosk. Actually, it's where they set where this basically like the set of Stranger Things. Like
Yeah.
whenever they had the whole mall scene, like that's what I think.
Well, they have filmed some of that out here.
What do you think? I mean, they probably filmed it at Area 51.
We figured it out, guys. All right, we solved this case.
Done and done. You have nothing to fear on March 23rd, my friends. You're fine. We'll call it, we'll bring back the mall day. Oh, well, that was good, Adele. That's a spooky one. Talk
Yeah.
about timing.
Well, yeah, I mean that's all I have. And I guess it was maybe a stretch to tie to aliens, but to me, Area 51's always been synonymous with aliens.
For sure. Yes, I loved it. Well,
But
should we spin that wheel and see what we're going to cover next week if we're still here?
yeah, so guys, if we're still here after the 23rd, let's see what the next topic will be.
I know it's like, should I wait until after the 23rd to do my research?
I wouldn't do any research until after the 23rd, personally. All right, here we go. Theory.
All right.
I guess you could build on this episode
I
too.
could build on this episode. Well, this will be great. Like maybe we could talk after the 23rd about some new theory that might come
Yeah,
to
that's true.
light. So we'll see. Oh wow, guys. Thank you so much for listening, Adele. Area 51, great topic. Like I want to go watch this Netflix documentary and then I kind of want to watch Next Files as well.
Yeah, I might watch Paul later.
Hours of all, yeah. So go ahead and stock up on those Reese's Pieces and get ready just in case.
Yeah, guys. Hey, if you have anything wild you want to do it on the 22nd.
That's right. I mean, you can always put them in your Easter basket if things, we don't get abducted.
Yeah.
Or if you get left behind.
There you go.
Well, as we say here on the podcast, stay safe,
Stay curious.
and never trust the living.
Living.
Bye, you guys.
Bye.